I've been thinking a lot recently about the issue of sin and what did that mean in the Bible. And one thing I keep pondering is that sin is looked at through both the Hebrew scripture and the Christian New Testament very differently than evangelical Christianity in America today. And I take the instance of Tamar in the book of Genesis. And she's in this weird story where her husband dies, and the law says that her brother in law has to take over for his brother and impregnate her and have a child that belongs to the deceased brother, and it's Onan, and God kills him for spilling his seed. And all of that stuff is the part of the story we normally know. But what we don't talk about much is what happens after that. And in the story, Tamar dresses up as a prostitute to entice and fool her father-in-law into impregnating her, which she does successfully. And when she reveals to her father-in-law, Judah, who was the head of the largest tribe of all of the Hebrews, that she's done this, his response, and thus we have to assume the response of God in the biblical context, is she is righteous. That's the declaration. For her to have disguised herself as a prostitute and fooled her father-in-law to commit adultery with her, she's declared righteous. And the offspring of that adulterous union is in the lineage of Jesus. If you look in the book of Matthew, Tamar and the firstborn of her twin sons from sex with her father-in-law is in the lineage of Jesus. These are the types of story I read in the whole of what Protestants consider the Bible, the collection of stories we call the Bible. And I say, the Bible looks so differently at the actions of human beings and doesn't say, oh, here's a law. This is sin and this is not. In fact, the story of Jesus, I think, is quite the opposite, where he says, you've heard it said, don't commit adultery. But I say, if you look upon a woman lustfully, you've committed adultery in your heart. I think what Jesus is saying is sin is all about relationship. Throw out the rules and try to figure out where human beings are going together to be human beings. When I coach my clients, I always say the very basic of every human is the need for safety above all else. We have to know we're going to survive. And when we know safety is somewhat secured, we start to ask, do we have any value in this place? Is there anyone who cares that I exist? And then when value is in place, we start to consider, do we have a purpose? Why am I here? And I don't think there's any God of any universe, of any type, that would say, yeah, I know you went after safety, value, and purpose in this somewhat unhealthy way, but I'm going to set you on fire because it wasn't the perfect way. In the book of James, it says, to him who knows to do right and does it not, to him, to that person, it's sin. And thus, I postulate, when we're just trying to do our best and we don't have any tools to do better because of trauma or social situation or something, then it's not sin to do the very human thing of trying to find safety, to find value from another human being, and to search for purpose. And I think when we know that, it starts to relieve shame and allows us to then consider how we can reach for safety, value, and purpose in healthier ways, and in ways that not only enliven and empower and make us better, but does the same to people and systems and societies around us. That's why I want to know, is someone connecting to heaven in a way that makes them a better version of themselves than does someone belong to a particular religion that I might consider the right one? Let me know what you think sin is. And don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel and go to pastor-paul.com and help support our work. My wife and I are out there to give our message that God is not mad at you, and there is a beautiful spirituality to be had beyond the church walls. And I hope you'll help. Go to pastor-paul.com and check out ways you can be involved in this community.